CicuDevices.
Impella Controller alarms. AC power disconnected. For more insights on Impella device, we invite you to visit our Impella Guide playlist on the CicuDevices channel. The Impella console incorporates an integrated alarm system designed to enhance patient safety and support rapid clinical decision-making during mechanical circulatory support. Each alarm is associated with specific visual and audible notifications, accompanied by contextual information displayed on the console screen. In many situations, the controller provides recommended corrective actions or stepwise instructions that help the healthcare team identify the underlying cause and restore normal device function. This structured approach is particularly important in high-acuity environments, such as the cardiac intensive care unit or catheterization laboratory, where rapid interpretation of alarms may prevent escalation toward device dysfunction, hemodynamic compromise, or thrombotic complications. Understanding the rationale behind each alarm, the monitored variables involved, and the appropriate clinical response is therefore essential for all professionals managing Impella-supported patients. Impella console alarms are organized according to severity levels, using a color-coded hierarchy that allows clinicians to rapidly prioritize their response. These alarm categories are divided into white advisory notifications, yellow caution alarms, and red critical alarms. Each category reflects the urgency of the situation, the potential impact on patient safety, and the expected response time from the clinical team. White alarms, sometimes referred to as informational or advisory notifications, represent the lowest severity level. These notifications usually indicate changes in device conditions or system status that require awareness, but not immediate emergency intervention. Yellow alarms indicate caution conditions that may potentially compromise device performance or patient support if not corrected promptly. These alarms require active assessment and timely intervention by trained personnel. Finally, red alarms represent the highest severity category and indicate potentially life-threatening conditions requiring immediate intervention. These alarms are associated with critical failures, and the expected response time is immediate, typically within seconds. Delayed action during a red alarm may place the patient at significant risk of deterioration. One of the key functions of the Impella console is to ensure a continuous and reliable power supply to maintain mechanical circulatory support throughout the procedure and during patient care. The console can receive power directly from the AC electrical supply or, when AC power is unavailable, automatically switch to its internal battery system. This dual power supply configuration is particularly important because uninterrupted energy delivery is essential for maintaining pump operation and, consequently, continuous hemodynamic support. Under normal conditions, the console operates using AC power, while simultaneously maintaining the internal batteries in a charged state, ensuring that battery power is immediately available in the event of an unexpected interruption or when the system needs to be temporarily disconnected from the electrical network, such as during patient transport. In the upper right corner, the console displays the battery status, including both the remaining battery percentage and a graphical battery level indicator. This allows the clinical team to continuously monitor the available battery capacity, particularly during patient transport or temporary disconnection from the mains power supply. When the console is connected to AC power, a power plug icon is also displayed, confirming that the controller is operating from the electrical supply while simultaneously charging the internal battery. AC power disconnected is an advisory alarm indicating that the automated Impella controller is operating on battery power. It does not indicate a malfunction of the Impella catheter or pump itself. The alarm is triggered when the controller detects a loss of its external AC power supply. In addition to the alarm message, the controller will display a short text with recommendations. In this case, the message will say, "Controller is running on battery power." The controller also provides periodically both a visual and audible notification that it is operating on battery power. When this alarm appears, there are several possible causes that may explain its occurrence. This may occur when the power cord is accidentally disconnected from the controller or wall outlet, when the electrical circuit is interrupted, or intentionally during patient transport. When AC power is lost, the controller automatically switches to its internal battery system, while Impella support continues normally, provided that the pump and controller are otherwise functioning correctly. The following actions are recommended when this alarm occurs. The first step is to determine whether the loss of AC power was intentional or unintentional. If the patient is not being transported, the power cable, wall connection, and electrical outlet should be checked, and AC power should be restored as soon as possible. The battery status should be assessed immediately to determine the remaining operating time. If AC power cannot be restored promptly, the patient should remain under close observation while the controller is operating on battery power. The internal batteries are designed to provide approximately 1 hour of operation when fully charged, with a specified minimum runtime of approximately 60 minutes. A full recharge requires approximately 5 hours. Actual runtime may be shorter if the batteries are not completely charged or have degraded over time. Therefore, the 1-hour figure should be regarded as a limited safety window rather than a period during which AC power can be ignored. For planned transport, battery status should be verified beforehand, and during transport, the remaining battery capacity should be continuously monitored. If the battery approaches a critically low level, AC power should be restored immediately or the appropriate backup strategy implemented according to institutional protocols.
If you've enjoyed our video, please press the like button and subscribe to support us so we can continue creating quality content like this.